Okay.
All right, and welcome to Mythical Monster Investigations, episode 27, 28.
30, I believe.
Oh boy, are we on 30?
I believe so because I think the last one was 29.
Oh, was last time 29? I've really got to start writing these numbers down.
I'm only going off of my notes from whenever I upload these, I usually write the number down so I get that right at least. And now you got
Gotcha.
me double checking
I'll
myself.
believe you. Episode 30, where we're going to be discussing the unicorn. But before we go into our overly long discussion of the Monoceros equus cabeus, which is just fancy
Gesundheit.
words for unicorn.
I was about to say, what did you just say?
Monoceros equus caballus, which is just one.
Gesundheit. Again.
That's a long way of saying My Little Pony.
No, it's a long way of saying one-horned horse. Actually, those are all animals have an official Latin name. Horse is Equus caballus, and Monoceros is the name for single-horned or one horn. So Monoceros equus caballus is one-horned horse, which is what we're looking at.
So
And there's a reason they couldn't just say one-horned horse, which was shorter.
Well, I just put it in. I thought, I'd put a little class in this. Make it sound a little more official, like we actually know a little bit about what we're talking about.
that again, that's a fancy way of saying Twilight. Twilight Sparkle.
Okay, I tried to be classy. You ruin it with the freaking kids. Okay. Okay, so anyway, before we dive into the mythology of our one-horned horses, happy now?
Okay. You could have just said one horn, four-legged animal.
Our one-horned horses. There is a small thing that I want to address, and it's something that always irks me. So we're going to go into it real quick, and that is unicorns are not in the Bible. That is absolutely false. The rumor that unicorns are in the Bible is based off a mistranslation of the Hebrew word of reme, which I'm probably butchering that. But regardless, that word has been mistranslated, and that's why in such versions as the King James Bible, it will say unicorns. But when you read the context of it, which can be found in Job 39, 9 through 12, Reame actually refers to either a wild ox or a species of ox known as an aurochus, something like that. Or it could be a species of antelope known as the oryx. All these creatures have been strong possibilities for what Reme could have meant. But basically, for instance, in Job, what it was talking about was probably a wild ox because specifically it was saying that this creature was very resilient. It was strong and untamable. You could not tame this creature. And the one horn thing was just a misnomer. This was just a powerful creature. It had nothing to do with one horn. So that's where that comes from. And we'll see that this mistranslation will play up a little bit more. But factually speaking, unicorns are not mentioned in the Bible. Just getting that out there. Okay, and with that out, we can now continue on with our study of the unicorn. The unicorn, as we see it, the beautiful and radiant white-coated horse, tall and majestic and proud, with its single horn protruding from its forehead, from specifically the center of its head. And I want to make that clear because it will be important later. And it has become a symbol of purity and mystery, and in modern times, the absolute symbolism of all things girly. Despite the fact that modern shows, which I'm told I'm sorry, My Little Pony,
Yeah, that's
Yes.
rarity.
yeah, I don't care about the names, actually has a large following of men who watch it, which,
Bronies.
yeah. Seriously, they're called bronies. I thought that was just
Yes.
No,
No,
Seriously?
that's not a
no,
joke. That's where that name came
Yeah,
from.
they're called bronies.
Okay. Um, regardless, unicorns are still today a staple of all representations of things girl. So, yeah. But the bottom line is that this mythological creature gets lots of attention, which is kind of odd considering that aesthetically, it's really just a horse with a horn on its head. So, why all the love? Like, why does it get all this attention? Why is it still so permeated in our zeitgeist? Like, why has it survived? Because we've seen other monsters in this show. A lot of them have romantic qualities to them, or they're fierce monsters, or they heighten the imagination. They're bizarre creatures that we just are thinking we'd only see these things in our nightmares, or they're so bizarre that there's no one who could have made this up. Where the unicorn's kind of, eh, it's it's a horse with a horn. That's all there really is to it.
A magical
Which kind of
horse with a horn.
actually, yes, and that's a good point because there are myths of unicorns, stories, and they're embellished or otherwise, and they are said to have magical powers and mythos, but that's not really the reason for the endurance of the unicorn mythos. Now, to understand why it's remained in the public mind, there's a few points we need to make clear. So, in total, 3 points that are really important to understand why the unicorn has kind of survived into the modern era, despite being, as far as mythical creatures go, rather boring. Or, I should say, simple. Maybe simple's the nicer word. What would you say?
I mean,
Simplistic?
simple. Keep it simple, stupid. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes
Okay.
sense that they
So,
would survive, in my opinion. I mean, it's a simple design. I mean, it's not the first animal to survive. Mythos animal to. What about the jackalope?
you do realize the jackalope's rather recent, right?
Ah, no. Monty Python taught me that rabbit's been a mythological problem for ages. So no.
You mean Monty Python, the same one who had a rabbit tear through King Arthur's knights.
Yeah, that was like the ancestor to the jackalope.
That could only be defeated with the holy hand grenade.
Yeah, all historical.
So, just to be clear, Shadow R. Fox, you're telling me all the history that you have quoted on the show at multiple times basically comes from skits from British television shows?
I mean, look, the BBC have a lot of historical programs on there, so I figured Monty Python was just the pinnacle. I don't know how they got cameras back then, but they found a way.
Well, obviously, they got to the Doctor to take the cameras back to record them for their show. That's why BBC exclusively plays Doctor Who.
It all makes sense now.
Oh God, what have I done?
I was gonna say, why the fuck did you play along with this? You knew what would happen.
I didn't think, okay? I thought he would see the absurdity of it and just move
Why
on.
would he ever see that?
This all makes sense now. This actually all fit together. Why have we never
This
had
is
a
your
Doctor
fault.
Who?
I hope you understand. This is your fault.
We now need a Doctor Who Monty Python crossover.
Oh God.
It all makes sense now. Can you imagine them crossing over?
Can't be any worse than the latest season.
True. No, I actually would start watching again if they did that.
You know what? Sad thing, I would too. Okay, well, let's move on while Shadow R. Fox is writing down his latest conspiracy theory he's going to perpetrate on the internet.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there are a few points we need to understand in order to be clear about why the unicorn has kind of survived for so long. So, the first is that in the ancient world, the unicorn was not considered myth. In fact, until relatively recently in human history, the unicorn was 100% considered a real animal. It was a documented beast. Very few people had seen it, but it was considered a real animal, like as real as a dog or a cat, as real as a lion. So you have to understand, unicorns were not told greatly in stories as myth, they were told as factual. Now, the second is since the unicorn was considered a real animal, its earliest mentions were in historical almanacs by naturalist scientists of the day. So, historians, naturalists, just records, they were the ones who recorded the early mentions of the unicorns. And that's where we're going to find our descriptions of them from early times. And we're going to see some marked differences about them. But we'll get into that later. And finally, and possibly most importantly, and what we'll discover is that the unicorn was meant to possess magical properties, as Shadow R. Fox stated. In particular, the horn of the unicorn was supposed to have various properties. Uh, for instance, it was said that if you took the horn of the unicorn, ground it up, and put it in wine or water, it could heal you. It could also offer protection. There was a lot to it. And this final reason may explain the survival of the unicorn mythos, because these assumed properties created an extremely lucrative market in unicorn horns. Because in the days before fact checking, the internet, or basically medical knowledge in general, conmen and salesmen were living in an absolute smorgasbord of marks and gullible simps. Like, this was a salesman and a con man's dream because they couldn't be fact checked. Most public knowledge wasn't that great, especially about animals that no one was assumed to have seen. All they had to do was basically find a horn, convince a bunch of people that it was a unicorn horn, and then let the profits build up. Shadow R. Fox, any comments on this?
I mean, snake oil salesmen existed at all time, and
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you learned from several of them.
yeah, I mean, look, unicorn horn, deer horn, um, goat horn, cow horn is all the same.
Yeah. So this was very common during medieval times, and you can actually see that in most famously the religious talismans and religious relics, where people would have bones, skulls of prophets and saints, so many fingers and skulls of St. Paul and Peter and everything else, to where several churches had them on display, having a skull protected in special boxes to showcase this, and that they would, well, actually, they would use these to attract tourists who would then come, and as contribution, they would pay a little bit of money to the church, and the church would stay open. So I can't see any reason why they would lie about having a holy relic. Absolutely no incentive there whatsoever. Some of them, in fact, many of them, went so far as to have relics like the one, for those of you looking on YouTube, the cross within a cross and the small brown object within it is supposed to be a chunk of the true cross, which plenty of things had that. It is believed that they had pieces of the true cross at one time, but it was actually stolen by Saladin in the Third Crusade and has never been seen again.
When
Whether or not that was the... Sorry, go ahead.
well, when the because I do remember that it's been a lot of different castles and chapels and places claim they had pieces of the true cross they got from the Crusade or the Holy Land. Wouldn't I mean wouldn't the wood of the cross had pretty much decayed at this point?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I'm not big on how long trees can last, but I'm pretty sure wood decompose within 1,000 years.
Yeah, not to mention it's the Romans. At best, they would have reused the cross or burned it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that thing's gone. Like I said, these were all fakes meant to drive people up. That's why in our myth about the holy, in our podcast where we looked at the Holy Grail and Excalibur and the Spear of Destiny, that's why there's 3 or 4 different ones, is because this was so prevalent. They basically just put things in, and it'd be a way to get pilgrims to come and get money. And of course, the best draw for them was anything that directly touched Jesus Christ. So even today, you have relics like his holy turban, not turban, holy cloak. The shirt he
The
wore.
the what you call it, the Oh, the cloth that had his face in it. His death.
No,
The
the Shroud
shroud.
of Turin. That's yes, that's one of the big ones. Although that one is more interesting because that one has actually passed every scientific test they have. Which we might get into that in a later episode. Bookmark that for later. But most of the others are fakes, like the sandal of Christ. The most famous for Christ, though, is the nails. There are so many nails because,
They
well,
had him freaking. They had him freaking nailed. Like, I've seen 50 nails from the true cross, so they clearly had him stapled to that cross. He wasn't coming down ever.
the sad thing is 50 is a low number.
I know.
So, bottom line, like I said, this was a con man and a swindler's dream. Absolutely dream time for them to be alive. You know, just had to get the artifacts and make sure nobody was actually smart enough to figure out that you're full of crap. So, because of this fact, many unicorn horns were sold, and because of it, also, they actually survived to some of them actually survived to this day and are on display. And surviving specimens actually show a clear origin of the aesthetics of the unicorn, that being their spiraling horn, which, for those of you looking on YouTube, that is one of the so-called unicorn horns that were sold in medieval times that have been preserved because, well, they are actually very well preserved. And this spiraling horn was the most likable unicorn horn to be sold. The spiral gave it this unnatural, slightly otherworldly appearance. It was easier to sell because not many people had seen this. It looked out of a fantasy realm. It looks like it belongs to a mythical creature. It, of course, does not. This, in fact, belongs to a creature called a narwhal, which has been so promptly and aptly named the unicorn of the sea because of it. And it's a creature that the masses would not have known. I mean, just they wouldn't have known what a narwhal was. I mean, actually, I know a few people nowadays who haven't really seen a narwhal, but narwhal is an aquatic creature with a long protruding. Well, actually, believe it or not, the horn's more of a long tooth, but it's a long horn that spirals coming out of their nose, and they have been known to strike ships with it, which it might be how they got the horns in the first place. I didn't actually look that up, but that's what a lot of medieval people sold, and that is pretty much how the unicorn got its spiraling horn. Anything to say about that?
I mean, the second I saw that horn, I'm like, that's narwhal's horn.
Yeah, I figured. Zed, didn't actually ask this. Have you ever seen a narwhal's? Well, I assume you know what a
No.
narwhal is, but
I
have
know
you
what it
ever
is, but no, I didn't even know they had a horn.
Yeah. Okay, so even today, not all
Oh
that
wait,
common.
no, sorry, I got it confused with something else. I did know they existed, but the thing I was thinking of that doesn't have a horn is something else.
Oh, okay.
So no, I just didn't know that what they looked like, but I knew they existed.
Yeah, but probably you've never actually taken a good look at a narwhal horn, right?
No.
It's interesting, its spiraling design, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
can see how it would kind of be thought to be kind of a magical creature's horn in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what's helped the unicorn survive is actually profit. But profit may explain its survival, but it doesn't tell us everything. And before we go a little bit deeper into the story and really get into the hard finds of what the unicorn actually was, let's take a short break and let Zed take it over for Who's That Monster Pokemon. Zed, take it away.
I mean, this was easy because Rapidash exists.
Yeah, I figured. Even I know that one is.
Well, and it's easier considering there's two Rapidash, one that looks far more unicorn-like than the other one.
Oh, I wonder which one.
Yeah, I even realized as I was getting the Galarian Rapidash that it had a spiral horn, which is more
Yeah.
in line.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, wow.
What's funny
Wow, Rapidash got really girly.
was also
Yeah.
funny. If we're comparing it to, I hate to keep bringing up the My Little Pony thing, but it does.
I mean,
You
it's
gotta admit
relevant.
it looked pretty similar.
Yes.
It really does.
And not only that, and let me see if I can get the My Little Pony image back in here because there's
I mean,
uh,
look, I make fun of it, but it is actually relevant. I
well,
mean,
it's actually even more relevant than you remember. Remember how you said unicorns are magical and the magic lies in their horn?
yeah.
The unicorn in My Little Pony, they can do magic, and whenever they're doing magic, their horn will glow,
Of course.
and their horn is spiral. So I'm like, God dang it, they actually put thought into it.
I mean, props.
Like I didn't even realize that they put thought into My Little Pony.
I mean, from what I've heard of the show, which is very, very little, I think actually no, most of what I've heard from the show comes from me watching Death Battle. They put a lot into the story. I mean, so props.
I've seen one episode because I'm like, okay, I gotta see what people are raving about, why they're bronies behind this. And I'm like, okay, I get the animation is good. It's a good animation. Characters, everyone got their classic archetypes. So it's like you know what you're expecting when you see a character. Like if that the pony I currently have, what do you think if when you look at her in terms of character?
Actually, the way she's posed, slightly stuck up.
Bam, her name's Rarity. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Sees the preppy fancy gal, initially stuck up and everything, so yeah, bam, you nailed it in one.
Okay, so basically in school, the preppy person I would hate to be partnered with in lab because she'd expect me to fawn over her and do all the work.
Exactly.
Got it. Ugh,
But
God, that was a rough
you see,
science class.
they wear their cursor archetypes on their sleeves, so little kids can look at it, easily know what's about to happen or what character, which character are which and everything. Combine that with the animation, I'm not gonna say simple story, but the average story of what we would expect to see back during the 90s, but less take away the boy and add in the Gale factor, and you got the My Little Ponies show. So again,
So basically, friendship's a superpower.
yes, no, exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of what solved every episode. So it's like you nailed it,
Yeah,
Alchemix.
makes
That's
sense.
pretty much the whole show. And it's like, okay, I see why this became popular for its time. Easy stories to follow along with, characters and archetypes. You can figure out what's going. I hopped in at a random episode, and I still could figure out what was going on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I'm sorry,
I give it credit.
I'm now having like post-traumatic stress, flashbacks of having to work with that annoying girl in high school.
But
God,
then,
she was at school.
looking at the Rapidash, Zed, maybe you can correct me. Getting back onto the Pokemon, I know the regular Rapidash, the only magical qualities it had was if fire wouldn't burn you if it liked you enough. I can't remember the other Rapidash because I didn't have that game where Rapidash showed up. I think I had Sword.
Oh, you had Sword. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
only Shield. I mean,
Yeah.
I can quickly look at
So it traded fire for cotton candy.
Fairy. It became a fairy type.
It became a fairy type, fairy and psychic.
I stand by my statement. It looks like it replaced all its fire with cotton candy. That's all. I'm going to stick with
I
that.
mean, I'm not gonna lie and say it didn't.
Yeah.
But
instead
I
of getting
can find
burned,
I
you
can
might get
find
your
its
hands
dex
sticky.
entries.
Because
Is it weak? Is its weakness still water? Because if you throw water on it, all the cotton candy will shrivel up.
No,
No, being
steel.
psychic fairy, its weakness is steel and poison.
I was making a joke.
Because I remember it.
Okay, wait a minute. How does the Pokemon look more girly than the unicorn from the actual girl show?
I was just thinking that. That's why I wanted them side by side. Because I'm like, how does that look more
Oh,
girly?
there it is.
Like, how is the Pokemon thing?
Oh, okay.
which is
Would you like me to read its 2 Pokedex entries, which are the only 2 Dex entries that exist for Galarian Rapidash?
Well, wait, Zed. As the Pokemon expert, a quick question I have to ask: like, does it explain why the unisex Pokemon looks exceptionally more girly than the actual unicorn from the actual show that was made for girls?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Wait, is it not gendered? Oh, it's 50-50.
No, I'm saying
No,
that this. I meant unisex as in this show.
No.
Pokemon is meant for it's
Oh,
not
well,
meant for a
yeah.
particular gender.
No, but they
But it
saw
looks
this and did it
exceedingly
this
more
way.
girly than the show, which is specifically made for girls.
oh,
Yeah.
here's another thing
Anyway.
to add to it before you read your dex entries, Ed.
Yeah.
Argument. So Galarian. You remember argument how there's Kanto and Johto as region, and they're based
Yeah.
on real locations in Japan.
Yes, and
Well,
thank you for now putting the Johto theme song back in my head.
Galarian is was based off of the UK.
Really?
Yes.
Yep. That's what the Galar region was based on.
So it is ironic that the unicorn, which is often associated with medieval stuff, became the Galarian variant of Rapidash.
Actually, that would really piss off people because the unicorn is actually the official. Because you said that area was based off the UK, right?
Yes.
The whole
Okay.
region is.
Yeah, the unicorn is the official state animal of Scotland, who's not thrilled. with
Actually,
the
to be
UK.
fair, I think it
Isn't the
there
upper
is
region?
a bit of it that is essentially part of Scotland. Yeah.
Because I think
Oh
the
no,
Or
it is
would
part of
be
it,
the
but
equivalent.
I know for a fact Scotland will not be happy about being associated with the UK in any way.
Well, I think didn't they? Now I don't remember the Galarian map. Did it also
Oh, I don't
include
care, I just find it funny.
Scotland? Zed?
Yes, I think it included
Because
a part that could be
I thought
argued
it
to be
did. I
part of
thought it
Scotland.
included part of Scotland. I don't know if you could catch them only in the Scotland region. That would be interesting.
I don't remember. It was in that weird tangle,
Yeah, Tanglewoods.
like forest
Yeah.
place.
That
Yeah.
would. That would be an actually fun little trivia attention to detail.
Now I'm curious. Now you got me
I don't
actually.
know. We'll look at the map later. Anyway, for its dex entries, I'll start with the less intriguing one, which is the shield entry, which is the game you can be found in. Brave and prideful, this Pokemon dashes airily through the forest. Its steps aided by the psychic powers stored in the fur on its fetlocks.
So it has psychic fur. Okay.
Yeah, which it is psychic type as well, so that makes sense. Its sword entry, little can stand up to its Psycho Cut. Unleashed from this Pokemon's horn, the move will punch a hole right through a thick metal sheet.
I mean, okay.
So, which is ironic because it's weak to steel.
Sure, because Pokemon normally makes so much sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see the fire horse in front of you, don't you?
I should put Ponyta on here because it's also
It does. Yes, the Galarian Ponyta also does have a horn.
what Mo is. I'm also trying to get a map because I think it actually is in the Scotland region.
It probably is.
That is a fun little attention to detail if it is.
I'm trying to get a map up in here too because,
So, well done, Japan.
let me actually see if I can get that in here and because it's found in. Oh, let me actually. Okay. Let's get a map up in here. That's where it's found. And I think that's supposed to technically be the Scotland region. It's up in the north, so I'm assuming it's in the Scotland region.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the actual map of the UK to know the parallels. Where that is.
Yeah, I don't know where the parallels are, so that's the only thing holding me back. But gotta admit, it looked pretty, pretty damning. Good little attention to detail there, if it
Right.
is true. Yeah, Archimage, I don't know if you're. Hope you guys aren't cutting out for me.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
no,
okay, so you would.
No, I'm saying that is a good attention to detail. and rather fun. Like, well done. But yeah, so somebody actually knows about, I guess, about other people's culture over in well, where's Pokemon made? Japan.
Japan.
It should be Japan.
So kudos. Again, props are due.
Let me actually, since I missed, I am going to try to get this last one because I am kind of kicking myself. I didn't include Ponyta because you want to see. You talked about girly poke. We might as well read the one for Galarian Ponyta because
I mean, I can pull. I have its X entries if you
it's
want me to
straight
read
up
them.
a.
It is. The
there we
sword
go.
one talks about the healing power of its horn, and that any slight wound you have will be healed by rubbing the horn. And then the shield entry is that it'll look into your eyes and read the contents of your heart, and if it finds evil, it'll promptly hide away.
So that's why I
So-
could never get one.
Sorry, you can. It heals by rubbing its horn.
Yes.
I now understand where that robot chicken skit came from.
Oh, jeez, I know which one you're referring to.
I like how you immediately knew what I was talking about.
Yes.
Oh, God. Never watch Adult Swim. It impurifies all your mind. Ugh. Okay. I'm sorry, did you have a Pokédex thing you want to go through? Or
That was
That was what I just did.
Okay.
I gotta give them point. Good attention to detail in the sense of it horn has healing properties. That's also the unicorn mythos.
Yeah. So definite props. All right. With that, actually, all of these bring up a very good point. How, the unicorn has been seen in this particular graceful light as kind of a symbol of purity. And that's an interesting question because while we just explained the profit of the unicorn's horn probably helped keep the mythos alive because, if the unicorn becomes just a myth, you can't really sell its horn, can you? It doesn't really talk about how it's gotten this purity thing. Because while the modern image of the unicorn is a very pure, majestic, flowing animal associated with all things girly and all the symbolism, it's very different from the early accounts of unicorns, which, again, remember, because these were considered real creatures, the earliest we have are from actual historians. The earliest being from the Greek physician Ctesias, who was a naturalist who was a physician serving under a Persian king at the time. Now, he wrote to date the earliest description of the unicorn, which I have got here. While working for the Persian king, his account of the unicorn is: in India, there are wild asses as large as horses or even larger. Their body is white, their head dark red, their eyes bluish, and they have a horn in their forehead about a cubit in length. The lower part of the horn, for about 2 palm distance from the forehead, is quite white. The middle is black. The upper part, which terminates at a point, is very flaming red. So, yeah. His description goes on to list a bunch of healing properties of the unicorn, including drinking from the severed horn, which will help heal any ailment. So this demonstrates that the notion of the creature's healing properties have been part of its identity for several generations, if not the very beginning of its discovery. So that's the earliest description we have. The next that we possess actually comes from Pliny the Elder in his Natural History. Now, he too described the unicorn a little differently. So his description goes as this: but the most fell and furious beast of all other is the licorn or the monoceros. His body resembleth a horse, his head a stag, his feet an elephant, his tail a boar. He loweth after a hideous manner. One black horn he hath in the midst of his forehead. varying about 2 cubits in length. By report, this wild beast cannot possibly be caught alive. Now, note in Penley the Elder's account, the creature referred to as Lycorn or Monosaurus. And like with many mythical creatures, there exist different variations of it. Presumably, we have the same creature in different parts of the world. Now, there are other interpretations which can be seen. Two of them we have is one in Chinese mythology is called the Quilin. Quilin. I don't think I'm saying that right, but close enough. Now, this is a creature that's said to have the body of a deer, the head of a lion, is supposed to be covered in green scales, and possess one long horn in the middle of its forehead. Which I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't heard of this creature
I
before
have.
this. Oh, you have?
Yes. It is. Isn't it also called the dragon horse? The Chinese dragon horse?
I think so.
No, that's long ma. Um,
Maybe not. I don't know.
oh, I have. Oh, no, I was right. It is called. Some do refer to it as a dragon horse. Quinlan. Quinlan dragon. Quilin, right?
No, Quilin.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said you. I'm sorry.
No,
I think I'm too used to hearing. I'm too used to
yeah.
hearing Q and U together.
Yeah, because I believe often interpretations of Journey to the West when they show Wukong being the protector of horses. These are some of the horses he watched.
Ah, okay. Well, anyway, yes, that's from Chinese mythology. That's a variation of unicorn from Chinese mythology. There's also one that's found in the country of Chile. Now, this is called the Camahueto. Camahueto, whatever. And this creature resembles a calf or a bull, yet, unlike cattle, it has only one horn protruding from its forehead. Now, as you've probably noticed, the common theme here is, the single horn. Now, there is a little bit of truth in all of these, and we're going to discuss that. And one of the things is that I found is that, first of all, it is actually possible for cattle to be born with a single horn. Famously, there's a cow in Brazil that was born with a single horn protruding from the middle of its forehead, which, Shadow R. Fox, you had a comment to say about that, didn't you?
Oh, wait. Oh yeah. Well, on the actual, you actually found the unicorn. Okay.
This is not a unicorn.
I'm sorry. So a unicorn is a four-legged mammal with a single horn in the top of his head.
This is a cow from Brazil that has a birth defect where one single horn grew out the top of its head.
I mean, you can call a horse a cow, but it got a single horn on its head. It's a unicorn.
It's not a horse, it's a cow.
I see what this is. This is discrimination. So it's
How
brown.
is this
It
discrimination?
can't because it's not a white horse. It's a brown animal. It can't be a unicorn. I get it now. Racism. Or would it be animalism?
Okay, first of all, did you even listen to the descriptions that I said? It didn't describe them as being white anyway.
You said they're usually shown as white, flowing, long mane hair. So because it's a bald unicorn, a bald brown unicorn,
It's a cow.
And you calling it fat too.
It's actually rather slim for a cow, but it is still a cow, not a horse.
So now you're calling it fat and anaerobic.
I don't know how to continue.
Moving on.
I think
The horn is supposed to be in the center of its forehead, not on the top protruding like a crown.
I mean, it probably just hit his head too many times.
It looks like it's giving us the middle finger.
And that's why I like it.
Ugh.
I'm oh,
So
I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring up the hump in his back.
I refuse. I don't know. I don't want to know what you do with that. Like, I adamantly refuse. For the sake of my sanity, I refuse. I agree with Zed. Moving on. Where was I going with this?
Unicorns are real, so you were gonna go off of that.
I was going to say there are creatures that do appear to have inspired the myth. And also, there is a little bit of realism to what they say, in particular within the medical applications. For instance, the horns of rhinos are sold for various medications. And a actually for rhino horns, you can get up to $100,000 per kilogram for rhino horns, which are said to be good for almost anything, including removing hangovers.
Oh, so what I'm hearing is we're all in the wrong profession.
Yes, and this is also why several wildlife reserves, when they have rhinos, will cut off their horns so that poachers won't try to kill them. Because they'll kill them, saw off the horn, and just leave them for dead, and who cares if the rhino population dwindles to extinction. But bottom line, the description they give is not exactly majestic. They describe instead a very large and slightly gruesome thing. And Pliny, in particular, described feet that were not like a horse, and the head was more of a stag, a look that was very different and more accommodating with the rhino. And for instance, you can look at this very thing. Notice that besides that, neither features are mentioned, but particularly with the horn, with the body, with the face of a stag. Stags and horses look very different. Um, Looking at the differences between the two animals, it should be noted that the horse head is fairly flat, with the forehead sloping down to connect to the nose. The stag, however, possesses a prominent brow protruding from the face, as well as its less uniform slant from the eyebrow to the nose. So, this historian's accounts, coupled with this, makes it seem that a rhino is more likely because now, while none of them look exactly like a rhino, a stag's head is more compatible, in my opinion, with a rhino than a horse. But what do you guys think? I mean, I admit it's a stretch.
I can see the resemblance.
Yeah. Oh,
Shadow
for
R. Fox.
fuck's sake. For fuck's sake.
Why am I looking at a picture of the rhino from Spider-Man?
You know why you're looking at a picture of the rhino.
His head does look more like a
Like a man's face shoved in a costume?
pretty much. I just love. I didn't even notice that the subtitle was the horn of the rhino.
Now that you've explained you get most of your history and facts from Monty Python sketches, all of your stuff in these podcasts makes sense. Okay, so moving on, as much as I can. Where was I? Oh, right. So historians believe that a rhinoceros could be the potential origin of the unicorn mythos, which makes sense, but it is a bit flawed. Now, one of the biggest things is that the horn is not actually in the center of their forehead. They're closer to the nose. So that's a bit of a founder right there. And also, most rhinos don't actually have one horn. There's only two species that do. One is called the Javan rhinoceros, and the other is called the greater one-horned rhino. For those looking on YouTube right now, this is the greater one-horned rhino. And the Javan rhino is a species that I actually did not know about, but it's a critically endangered member of rhinoceroses, and it is nearly extinct in South Asia and Africa. This is actually one of the smallest rhinos that there are in the rhino family. So it's very tiny and therefore one of the big hunting things for it because it horns possess the same property, but since they're smaller, they're a bit easier to manage than the very large rhinos. But these are the only two rhino species that have one horn. So it's believed that perhaps they could be part of it, but neither one of them really fits the description because while Ctesias and Pliny's descriptions do vary greatly, one thing they kind of agreed on was that an overlap was, besides being big and gruesome, was that they kind of had this black horn in the middle of their forehead instead of towards their nose, which we see in the rhino, which has led people to believe that a better source or a possible would be a creature called, I'm going to butcher this, but bear with me, e- Elasmothrinium sibicarium, or as it's been dubbed, the Siberian unicorn. Now, this is an extinct species of rhino which scientists believe may well have existed at the same time as early man. Now, while only bones of the creatures exist today, the modern interpretations, as well as technology, skin renderings, and other things, have given an idea of what it would look like, and this is it. And the horn is far more in the center of their forehead, and also many of the fossils show that their horn may have very well been rather black. It's boarish with its overly large horn made it a very dangerous animal to hunt. It was a stocky creature, but not as overly thick as modern day rhinoceroses and probably a bit faster. So, when it comes to the two tellings of this story, it's more possible that this could be a more likely substance, a more likely origin of the rhino. What do you guys think?
I mean, only problem is, it didn't exist long enough for. I mean, a lot of people see it. And it was
Okay,
in a
so
specific part of the world that wasn't close to Europe almost.
Shadow Artifacts, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The earliest problem is that, according to science, this thing went extinct before the two accounts we have are made. Now, there, now that's not exactly a complete kill-all for it. It is possible that Silius, for instance, was writing about a creature that had been passed down for years because if anyone had actually looked at the works of Silius, he writes about a lot of very strange creatures, including men who have one leg with a foot so big they can use it as an umbrella. So, he wasn't particularly that concerned with realism, apparently. But I will bear in mind that the story of Atlantis, for instance, was passed down for several years. And when it was written down, that was ancient verbal history when it was written, despite being written thousands of years ago. So it's not impossible that this was a beast that early man could have seen and perhaps passed down. Or perhaps they found fossils and imagined what this beast would look like they did with many creatures, especially in Greek mythology. Or there could have been another type of extinct animal that we don't know about, which actually that is highly possible, especially in these points, because Rome alone had took out several species and made them extinct for their gladiator games. Some of these species include the North African elephant, which we only know exists because we've seen it on some of their coinage. Um, the Atlas bear, which was a native species to North Africa and was hunted to extinction to be used in gladiator games. The Syrian elephant, also hunted to extinction to be used in Roman battles. The Barbary lion, the European wild horse, and the Asiatic lion in Greece, just to name a few. All these creatures hunted by early Greeks and Romans to extinction, mostly for pleasure and other nonsense. So, yeah, congratulations, Romans. You've once again proved that you were always very good at killing.
Mm.
So, what do you think this means for the myth?
All I'm hearing is unicorns used to be real and the Roman killed them all.
That wasn't quite what I was going for.
I bet you if
I
we start digging underneath the Coliseum, we're gonna find a bunch of dead unicorns.
well, they didn't leave the bodies in the Colosseum.
Well, yeah, they bury them under the Coliseum.
They didn't bury them under the Colosseum. That was meat and bones and possible healing stuff. You think they just you think they just left that there? No, they sold that stuff and ate it.
I don't. I'm trying to think how many accounts I hear of Romans getting the horns off of animals.
Well, I don't actually know that. I think the Greeks did that. I'm not sure about the Romans, but the
Yeah.
Romans were into everything.
True.
I mean, I can't imagine a bit of like debauchery they didn't do. I mean, maybe there was one thing, but let's be honest, they went for it.
True. So.
So, the myth, as far as it goes, what I think is that many people thought the unicorn was an actual animal, and it survived countless times. Later on, it got this reputation for having healing properties from the horns. Now, this could have been from rhino horns, this could have been from some other species, and because of that, they would sell the horns in medicinal medicines. And, anything that has a profit will survive. But, you can't really have a profit without keeping the unicorn. And as it started to get into mythos territories and with the eventual mistranslation in the Bible, which still annoys me, that's when they really became the symbol of purity, as the churches would put them in, because anything in the Bible has to be pure, basically, which makes me wonder how closely the churches actually read the Bible. But anyway, actually, I don't want to answer that question. I don't think it'll be a good answer. So that's where the churches kind of came in and turned the unicorn into this symbol of purity and mastery. And prophets and religion came together, and con men had fun. And honestly, I think that's the only reason the unicorn really did survive, is because it was marketable, which actually may be the reason it's still around today, because it's marketable. So I guess the real question is, what is our fascination with a one-horned horse?
The same fascination people have with rhino horns. The healing properties of the horn.
You do realize most of those rhino horns are ground up to make boner pills.
I know. That's why I said healing properties.
So you were actually trying to be tactful.
Yes.
Ugh.
Although I believe in the I think the Chinese medicinal medicine, they claim it, besides being essentially a Viagra pill, they also claim that it does heal, like, I think no, I think they say it restore vitality or something like that.
Well, the Chinese also thought that of mercury, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't put a lot of stock into Chinese medicine at times. No offense to anyone from China, but let's face it, you guys did some weird shit.
Look up the medicinal alcohol, Chinese medicinal alcohol, if you're ready to be freaked out.
Okay, that's just an excuse to get drunk.
Do you know what Chinese medicinal alcohol is?
I feel like it's some kind of urine.
Is any, if memory serves, is any alcohol that has a animal that died in it. So you've seen all those pictures of the alcohol bottle that have a dead animal in it?
Yeah, like the worms.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Well, worms, spiders, scorpions, snakes, and I heard one person saw a crow in it.
And people drink that.
Yes.
Huh. Well, I guess technically if the alcohol's strong enough, it'll kill any bacteria. Or you're just drinking a cesspool sludge of rotting corpse.
We try not to think about that.
I'd like to think about it because I'd rather not drink it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but if we're going into like peace talks at any point and I have to drink something like that, I'm sorry, we're going to war. Like that's not worth it. Like that's gonna be a very respectfully, are you crazy?
It's healing.
They're trying to kill me. Yeah, healing is in, I'll never feel anything again because I'll be dead. So no. But yeah, so like I said, not a lot on the unicorn. I think this might be one of our shortest videos actually. Cuz that's really all there is to it. It's just people like unicorns.
It's
Like
simple.
really it was kept alive because it was profitable. It's the only reason it really survived, and most of it came from its popularity in the church came from its mistranslation, which kept it alive. And that's just about it. And girls like unicorns for some reason. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out why girls like things because I've wasted too much of my life already trying to study that.
Unicorns is simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Same with the mermaid. Mermaid's also simple.
I mean, I guess.
Well,
The
you've
mermaid
ever
had more interest to it than a freaking unicorn.
well, you've ever wondered why the mermaid always usually stayed consistent and was always a beautiful female top half and a fish half below, and never the reverse.
I always just figured men like boobs.
Exactly. No, that's it. That's simple. See, it's very simple. Keep it simple.
Ugh. You know what? We should try submitting some of these to Monty Python. I bet they'd have fun. We give them the newest idea for their Doctor Who crossover.
Just you gotta keep it
How
simple.
about no? How about just no?
Hey, Doctor Who might take it.
I'm aware they might. I still say no.
Yeah, no, not with the current team. Let's wait a few generations when everybody who wrote the disaster of Doctor Who's latest season dies off, and maybe somebody comes in that actually knows how to form a plot.
Well, we just gotta wait for the next regeneration after the current Rose Tyler regeneration that they're in.
God, that was stupid.
I don't know where they're gonna go with that.
Well, it's been Doctor Who's on hiatus permanently until like further notice.
No, I'm just trying to think how they're gonna
Oh,
work
they don't
out
have a. Oh no, they literally don't have a plan. That was a last-ditch effort by Russell because he was hoping that it would build up enough interest to save the show. It's like, no, it didn't,
No,
dude.
it's
You screwed up.
just confusing.
Yeah, that you've heard of the shot around the world. That was the around the world.
Huh.
I'm being kind with around the world because only a handful saw it. And it's just like, no. Look, I like Billy Piper, I do, but no.
I mean,
Like, I hate to say it, and if this sounds racist or sexist, well, screw y'all. Blame Russell T Davies. He screwed it up. I think the Doctor needs to go back to being a white male.
I mean, this is coming from a black guy, but I've been watching the classic Doctor Who recently, and I gotta agree. I think looking at all the classical Doctor Who, and I saw, I've been watching a lot of them. I think the only one I haven't saw any episode for yet is the first Doctor, but I've seen like the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. It, yeah, I'm sorry, the Doctors kind of just work when he's just some old white British dude. He worked really well. That's a working
Yeah.
formula. Don't mess with success here.
Yeah, he's the smudgery old doctor who's like the old man going on way too many adventures. It works. Like, don't ask me why. It just does. And keep him British.
Bring back Peter Capaldi.
Oh, God. Peter Capaldi was so good.
Heck,
Especially when he actually had a decent companion.
they should
Like,
have
no.
him regenerate into Matt Smith rather than
Right.
Rose.
Yeah. At least that would have been partially funny.
That would have made at least some sense or something like that.
Somewhat. Like, honestly, him regenerating to David Tennant was dumb.
Yeah, I didn't agree.
And also, why did his clothes regenerate? Like, I don't want to see David Tennant in, like, Jodie Whittaker's costume by any means. I'm just saying it doesn't fit the lore. Like, I'm sorry, it was kind of crap.
Chameleon. Oh, I just found out a way. Chameleon clothes.
That's some bollocks.
But you remember that from the Matt Smith days. They had the chameleon circuit where you're still naked, but I'm projecting clothes into your mind. So that's what he was doing.
I mean, if you're trying to say that Jodie Whittaker was naked her entire run, that does make it more interesting.
No, because then I would watch, and I didn't watch her run, so clearly he wasn't doing that. So
I'll be kind. Her run wasn't bad. It was really sexist, though. It's like, okay, can we tone down the sexism a little bit? Like, I'm sorry, the Rosa Parks episode, like,
that's kind
it
of where I
was,
dropped out at.
yeah, no, like, it was like cringy, but the final scene was the cringiest. To the point where I'm like, okay, guys, come on,
I guess
really?
to try to circle back to the unicorn discussion to finish it off. Have
Yeah,
there
go
ever
ahead.
been a Doctor Who with unicorns in it? Because I don't
Uh,
recall seeing one.
maybe. Well, maybe not. Let's see. There was Doctor Who where he faced vampires, like on at least 2 occasions.
Because I just realized that Doctor Who's
Faced
been around
werewolves.
forever, and I don't think I've ever seen him fight a unicorn or deal with a unicorn.
Uh, there was an episode called "The Unicorn and the Wasp"
Yeah,
that didn't actually have a
it had
unicorn
no
in it.
unicorn. That was a whole about that famous author
Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie. Yeah, which it had giant hornet, space hornet,
Yeah, but that's.
alien space hornet. So
I don't think he's ever dealt with unicorns.
no.
Actually, he's
So
dealt with vampires, sea monsters, the Loch Ness monster like twice, dinosaurs, Morlax from H.G. Wells. But no, I don't think he's ever dealt with unicorns.
so who owned the right to Doctor Who? BBC.
Yeah.
Okay, so BBC, give me a call. I can do a whole season about unicorns. The Master regenerate into a unicorn. Doctor's gotta stop him.
I mean, why not? I mean, at this point, I mean,
It'll be more entertaining than what we got last season.
right? And I'm just double checking, make sure Doc. Oh God, I just got a bunch of fan art as the Doctor is a My Little Pony.
Perfection.
Oh God. Shit, it does look like David Tennant. It's actually not a bad rendering.
Okay, so and now we got it. The Doctor never faced the unicorn. We gotta do something about that.
Yeah, okay. So BBC, get on it, with a competent director this time. To be fair, the Doctor's also never actually faced a dragon either.
I'm also gotta say that besides, I think the last time we saw unicorn in the modern media, it would be the death of a unicorn, which is a recent horror film that just came out. But before that, the last time I remember a unicorn in popular media, it would be in the Harry Potter movies.
No, remember unicorns were briefly in Shazam 2.
Oh yeah, very briefly though. That was
No,
like
extremely briefly, but it was also Shazam 2. That was disappointing.
that was where I think them having the doors to the different realities, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them had unicorns.
Yeah, God, that was disappointing.
That was it. Okay, so Shazam.
Shazam 2.
There just haven't been that much. I guess what I'm getting at, there's not that much media representation of unicorn nowadays outside My Little Pony and the recent Death of a
Horror
Unicorn movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is largely just kind of a girl's. Like, I'm not being sexist. It is like
No,
really
it's
a
a girl's
girl's
thing.
toy.
It's a guild thing.
Like, just the majority of guys don't really get into unicorns.
I don't see too many masculine painting of a barbarian warlord riding a unicorn into battle.
Yeah, you see anything with horses, it's usually Pegasus.
I'm now kind of kicking myself that I didn't get a bad AI to give me a hardcore barbarian warlord charging into battle on the unicorn.
I know, right? I even suggested it, and you didn't think of anything. Like, damn, lost opportunity. Oh well.
Well, for now, but the thumbnail may have it if I do.
There you go. We can look at it later, and you can make the thumbnail for it. All right, and with that, Zed, any final notes on unicorns?
No, but we need to stop before Shadow RFX starts trying to make any more Doctor Who fan fiction.
There you go. Oh, there's already plenty. They'll never get to his.
I'm aware, but before he makes any more. I don't
No,
care about everyone else.
Look, I'm more worried about him making conspiracy theories that turn into a cult, okay?
I like how you think he hasn't already.
That we know about. Whatever. Okay. So with that, Shadow R Fox, anything left to say about unicorns that's not a conspiracy or having to do with My Little Pony, AI, or Doctor Who? Did I cover everything?
I don't think so, but sure, we'll say you did.
No, you said My Little Pony. Okay, you said no My Little Pony or Doctor Who. Okay. Have they ever tried to make Kool-Aid out of the unicorn horn?
Where does he come up with this shit?
Well, hear me out. Because you said cult, and you said and unicorn. So I'm just wondering.
Shadow R Fox, you do realize that with the implication of what we've gone over, what you're essentially talking about is Viagra Kool-Aid.
Okay, never mind. I thought it was gonna have a different outcome. Never mind. We can carry on. I thought it was gonna go to another place, but never mind. Okay.
Okay, well, I can't think of any better place to stop this podcast at than Viagra Kool-Aid. So, until next time, if you have any more questions about these creatures, feel free to look up the book Probable, Possible, Plausible, an explanatory guide to monsters and myth.
Unfortunately, we're out Viagra Kool-Aid in it. I'm sorry. Guys.
Where next time we will be either looking at another angel video or we will be going over the Chimera, because this time I actually remembered what the next monster was. Ha! So until then, I'm your host, Darkimage, along with my co-host,
Shadow Fox.
And Zed.
Till next time.
See ya.
I need to start bringing Advil.